All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I know what you're thinking. I know. You're thinking, what happened? Did the tariffs scare him away? They didn't. I just been slacking. Straight up, no excuses. Slacking. Now, I look like crap because allergy season is kicking my ass. And I've got my contacts on so you can see my, grocery bags on deck. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. What is this? Why are you here? Who am I? Let's get to it. I am JD, aka He Who Pods. This is the Sexual Intellectual Podcast, a platform for thought provoking content and information. And so there are also changes coming to this platform. And let's start there. So there's some new segments that will be coming to the podcast because I find during these tumultuous times that it's not always so easy for me to have topics for this podcast. And that's part of podcasting is the struggle that you have to deal with in finding topics, being consistent, etc. So I'm changing things up to make that a little easier for me because I told you I'm not coming in here and reporting on every single thing that the president is going to be doing. I know he's doing a lot. I told you I'm not reporting on all of it. So a lot of that has been the news cycle. And so I realized I need another way to do this. And so changes are coming. So what are the changes? Number one, the core pieces will remain, but some things are going to be moved around. There's some topics that will remain, or segments rather, such as the dating stuff stays, the sex stuff stays, the political stuff stays, the quickies stay, but some new things are coming. There will now be some new segments. So the idea is I'm going to remove things at some point. Example, let's say I can't find something sexual or something relating to dating, and maybe we could have something else so it's not just an empty vacancy spot, So what are we adding? Good question. So I'm adding bringing back term of the week. I definitely enjoy doing that segment. People seem to like it as well. But I'm introducing a main topic. There are going to be times, not every time, but there are going to be times where I want to focus on one topic, and that's going to get a nice stretch of time. And so that's going to be the main topic segment. That's a new segment. That's probably going to happen pretty regularly. The next thing I'm introducing is Song of the Week. I like music a lot. And I think that there are some really dope songs that could be shared here on this platform. And who knows, maybe I'll create a playlist. Somebody already suggested that. Maybe I'll create a playlist where we start building a Song of the Week playlist. Okay? So those are the changes. We will not have every segment every time. That's why I'm adding some more. So when there is not enough for me to do the quote unquote normal segments, I'll be able to interchange things a little bit. So let's start. There's a thing out there called hotwifing. Hotwifing is something I heard about on a podcast. And I told one of my friends about it. And they were all like, yo, I don't think that makes sense. I said, me either, but that's what I heard on the podcast. I haven't done my due diligence and looked it up. While we were talking, they looked it up. And then I went into a rabbit hole. I found some really interesting things. And so I'm here to report back about hotwifing. Hotwifing. Hotwifing is wild. And so we're going to talk about it. Now, here is a little something something from the New York Post. And this is from March 29th, 2025. Oh, a little less than a month ago. It says here, couples are opening up their relationships in a new trend called quote unquote hotwifing, which sees husbands watch their wives sleep with other men. We all used to know that as cucking. But let's keep going. It says, it's kind of like letting your best friend test drive your car, explained one husband named Logan, according to the Daily Mail. Quote, he gets to see how well it rides. He's got to give it back, but it creates a sense of pride. You get a little taste of what my life is like. That's a quote. Okay. It says multiple couples have partnered with the adult site Wifey so that wives can bed professional porn stars as part of the unconventional new practice. For those who can't see me because you're listening to audio, I needed to just blink at y'all for a moment. As King Ashley Ann says on Instagram, blink, blink, blink. It says this is described by the Daily Mail as a modern take on cuckolding. Quote, it'll be really cool for him to see me with two hot guys just living my best life, says Sienna, Logan's wife. All right, so I went up on this website, Wifey, and they are this. Yes, this is what is happening on Wifey. Wifey, this is not an ad, by the way. They didn't pay me. I'm just here giving information. That is all. Okay.
See, and this is my husband Matt. I feel like hotwifing has made me a lot more competitive. If I see my wife getting fucked really good, afterwards, I'm gonna fuck her way better. I feel like you have a lot of wild ones, but when that comes to mind is you suckling some guy's dick in the back of an Uber. I have a really good Uber rating. It's natural to find other people attractive. Instead of fearing that one of us will go out and do something, why don't we explore having sex with other people and telling each other about it? My advice would just be totally open. If you think you want something in your relationship, tell your partner and say, hey, how do you feel about it? And then go from there. You know, you guys gotta respect each other. No matter what gets said, if your partner doesn't receive it well, you have to accept that. And I think that with there being so many different areas of this world, being able to learn what you actually like and don't like is so important.
I had to edit some of that out, but there it is. That is a 1 minute and change video that you see when you go up there, and they say that these are real couples. And it says their tagline is real couples share everything. And so listen, I don't know. I'm not married. I don't have a wife. I believe in pleasing your partner and aiming to please them. I believe in being open-minded sexually. But I don't know if I could sit there while a porn star is folding up my wife. I say that because I couldn't see it, but the woman was in all type of pretzel positions, as we call them. And that's kind of rough to sit there and watch. I mean, but the dude was into it in the video. He's there with his phone out recording, and he's all into it. And listen, there are people who are into those type of things, who enjoy watching their partner with other people. So it's probably wiser to do it with a professional, so you don't have all type of Shannon Sharp problems. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. I do not have a dating topic today, so we skip that. So let's head to our new segment, Song of the Week. Song of the Week this week is MOP, Cold as Ice. This is a long-time favorite of mine. I've loved this record since it first came out, since I first heard it many, many years ago. It's obviously not a new record, but just something I was digging this week. This week, that's what I had on repeat at one point. It just always is nice for me to listen to this song. When I hear Cold as Ice, I get like a sense of nostalgia. I get a little bit of hype. There are certain parts of the song that always make me laugh. I think it's a great record overall. And yeah, it samples like a rock song or whatever. I believe it's a rock song. I can't remember off the top of my head where the sample comes from. I used to know, but whatever. Anyway, it don't matter. That's just what I've been bumping. It's a song that like really stood out to me this week. I really enjoy when in the middle of the rap, he says, no, fuck you. That always makes me laugh in the middle of whatever's going on. Sometimes we all feel that way where it's like, hey, man, no, no, no. And you got to shut it down. And so I love that he shut it down in this manner. And yeah, it's great. Great record. And so that's it. It's a quick segment to just share a little bit about me and what I got going on. What song are you bumping this week? What song is inspiring you this week? What song got you feeling, like this is my jam this week? Or as of late, don't gotta be this week. So let me know in the comments what song is doing it for you. Let's do term of the week, which is really gonna be term of the year for a lot of people. Tariffs. That's right, folks. Tariffs. Tariffs. You all heard about them. You can't stop hearing about them. But do you understand them? Do you know what a tariff is? Do you know who pays it? Do you know what's its purpose? These are questions. And I would like to shout out Riza Islam, who I follow and admire quite a few of the things that he does. And I like to give credit where credit is due. He posted this video. Now, I don't know if it's a repost. I assume it is because of the way the video looks, but I'm gonna play this video for y'all that speaks a little bit about tariffs. Okay, here we go.
And hey, Chinese government pays a tariff. No, they don't. Yes, they do.
Wait.
Pays the tariffs. The Chinese government pays a tariff. No, they don't. Yes, they do. I do. I'm an importer and exporter for 20 years.
Okay, now the video says right here, professional importer / exporter explains tariffs to MAGA.
When a product comes into the U.S., there's something called a tariff sheet. Okay. I, as the buyer of that product, follow U.S. law and pay the tariff. I'm an American citizen, an American taxpayer. I pay that tariff to the U.S. government, and that increase in the cost I then sell to you for a higher price because I'm going to cover that tariff. And what about when you say our tariffs are higher when they go overseas as opposed to theirs coming here? Tariffs are never a zero-sum game. Tariffs are a tool. For example, you might say, you want to sell us your beer. Yeah. We are going to give you a low tariff if you buy our corn. But the cost of the tariff is ultimately always borne by the consumer. Don't you think at the end of the day there may be more competition within the market of the U.S. government? You're confusing the question. This is not a question of competition. The point we're discussing is who bears the cost of the tariff. Okay. I couldn't tell you if it's good policy for the U.S. government to tax beans and for the Chinese government to tariff corn. But what I can absolutely assure you is that a product that comes into the U.S. is paid for by a U.S. company, and the increased cost of that is borne by all of us. I am an importer and exporter. I do it for a living. Okay. Then what's the alternative? If at one point in our country's history was tariffs that paid for our economy. Tariffs don't pay for your economy. But they did. We didn't have income taxes before. That was before we had municipal infrastructure. Correct. My understanding is that the tariff is lopsided to benefit other countries as opposed to ours. The suggestion is just to bring it up to make it equal. That's why you have free trade agreements. Right. But it doesn't mean that even within the free trade agreement, there are not tariffs. If there's one thing you should take away from this extended conversation, is you are always paying the tariff. You know what? I'm not educated in that. Fair enough. Yes, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. And so there you have it from an importer-exporter himself. But that may not be good enough for some of y'all. Some of you might hear that and say, yeah, but that guy could be wrong. Who is that guy? How can we verify, his credentials? We can't. I don't know who he is. But what I do know is there's other ways to get answers. And on this little thing called the internet, I stumbled upon this website called Oxford Economics. Some of y'all might have heard of them. It says here, Tariffs 101. What are they and how do they work? This is a blog post from March 19th, 2025. Feel free to go find it and read it your damn self because I'm not going to read the whole thing. Not to y'all anyway. It starts off by saying, example, I sell an apple to the US at €1. Imposing a 25% tariff means that as a foreign producer, I now get charged excuse me, not charged. I apologize. I now get 0.75 in my pocket instead of €1. As a foreign producer, I will probably raise my price to protect my profit margin, but that implies the US consumer will face a higher price for my foreign apple. Okay, here we go. What are tariffs? Tariffs are taxes imposed by a government or goods and services imported from other countries. Oh, not or, on. The ad messed me up. Sorry, y'all. A tax imposed by a government on goods and services imported from other countries. It says, think of a tariff like an extra cost added to foreign products when they enter a country. They're usually a percentage of the price of the goods. The level of the tariff will affect the significance of its impacts. Why do governments impose tariffs? Raise government revenue. Tariffs serve as a source of income for governments. Protect industries and correct trade imbalances. Tariffs shelter domestic industries from foreign competition and discourage consumption of imported goods. Political tool for negotiations. Tariffs can be used to apply pressure on the foreign government they are imposed on as part of a trade negotiation or political tool. Okay? The question here next is, what impact do tariffs have on the economy imposing them? Here's an example. It says, I am a US car producer. The cost of imported materials and parts that go into the car may have increased because of the tariffs. For example, electrical components that are imported from China will now be 10% more expensive, increasing cost of production for the US domestic producer. Okay? Mhm. So, there's more. Y'all can go read it. But you've now heard in more than one way what it is and what happens. Okay? So, when the tax is imposed, when a tax is put on, when the tariff is put on the foreign goods, when they come in, the price is higher for who? Not the government, for you buying the thing. So if this pen, I have no idea where this pen came from, but if this pen, let me turn it around, no free ads. If this pen came from Japan, and normally they would charge us $1 for this pen, if they get hit with a higher tariff, they still want to make their same profit. So they are going to raise the price of the pen so they still can make a $1 profit. The US government is not paying that money. The US government is going to allow you, when you buy this pen, to take the cost, to eat the cost, meaning that you will pay more than $1 because they want to make sure the person who shipped it to the US, the Japanese producer of this pen, in my make-believe example, will raise their price and you will no longer pay $1. You will have to pay $2, $3, $4, $5, whatever it is, because they need to offset the new price that we are taxing them to bring it in. They're going to make sure they still make their $1, even if you charge them a 1,000% tax. They're just going to add that tax to the price of this pen. So when the United States consumer goes to purchase the pen that used to be $1, it will now be whatever the price necessary for the Japanese producer of this pen to still make their $1 profit. That's what's going to happen. Okay? Term of the week, tariffs. While we're here, we might as well do politics as usual. Why not? All right. Well, one of the things the man did was make some changes, and let's talk about one of the changes that I think is worth discussing. Once again, folks, politics as usual. Okay? No drop today, but next time I'll have the drop ready. All right, this is according to Routers. It says U.S. Education Department to resume collecting student loans in default. That don't sound too bad, right? Okay. It says the U.S. Department of Education said on Monday, federal student payment, it will resume collecting federal student repayments from borrowers in default from May 5th after a pause of more than 5 years. The resumption will impact more than 5 million borrowers who are in default, the Education Department said in a statement, adding that another 4 million borrowers were later making payments. Student loan collections were paused in 2020 as a way to provide relief during economic uncertainty stemming from the pandemic. All borrowers in default will receive email communications from the Education Department's Office of Federal Student Aid over the next 2 weeks, the department said. It will begin sending notices later this summer to start wage garnishment for those in default. Wage garnishment. One more time. Wage garnishment. That's when they take your money from your check. Oh, yeah, that's right. It says here, American taxpayers, this is a quote, by the way. I'll tell you from who in just a second. But it says here, American taxpayers will no longer be forced to serve as collateral for irresponsible student loan policies, Education Secretary Linda McMahon said in a statement. She done body slammed us all, folks. Student Borrower Protection Center, which litigates on behalf of student borrowers and advocates for policy in Washington, condemned the Trump administration's new announcement. The announcement also comes as Americans are navigating unprecedented economic uncertainty, the advocacy group said, citing rising costs and the economic fallout of recent government firings. That is the article, folks. They are about to take your money out of your check. Are you surprised? I don't know. You could put it in the comments if you're surprised. I, for one, cannot believe it. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm shocked. Wage garnishment, so you going to get paid and then you not going to have no money to take home. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you just how much money you're going to come home with when it's all said and done. I just happen to have this in my pocket. I did not plan this, I promise you. But this how much you're going to have left after your paycheck. Okay? This is how much. This is how much you're about to have left. It's funny, but it's not. Sometimes what they say, you got to laugh to keep from crying. Yes, sirree, Bob. Wage garnishment. But this ain't new. They do it with child support. They do it with income tax. They do it with all type of stuff. By the way, it didn't say it in that article, but I read somewhere else that they will also be withholding people's federal income tax money. Yes, that's right. The return you are waiting for, not the return of the Mac, the income tax. The one you are waiting to come into your pockets to get you a new couch, a new TV, some old fly shit, or maybe just some stuff you need. Nah, player, we kept it. Thanks. Politics as usual, baby. The good old government. Uncle Sam strikes again. Let's move on because I got more for you. Okay, let's hit some quickies. All right, this is from The Verge. Yes, sir, you might have heard already, but just in case you didn't, Google loses ad tech monopoly case. The U.S. proved Google, quote, willfully engaged in a series of anti-competitive acts. I'm gonna give y'all just a slice and we out. Y'all know how this quickies go. Quickies are hit it and quit it. The U.S. Department of Justice has won its antitrust case against Google, which accused the company of operating a monopoly in the advertising technology industry. The ruling, which marks Google's most recent antitrust loss, follows its search case, says the tech giant's anti-competitive practices in two key markets substantially harmed publishers and users on the web. Google has problems, folks. Y'all can look up the rest. Google is losing, and Google may have to be broken up, or they might have to do some old Swift craziness like your man did when Meta was formed. It's getting crazy out in these streets. Let's keep it moving. Speaking of it getting crazy in these streets, do you take Ozempic? As y'all can see, I don't. I'm chubby, and I ain't been in the gym. But let me tell you a little something. According to the Telegraph, Ozempic killed Weight Watchers. This one is a little personal for me. I want to read more, but we're going to keep it a quickie for now. It says how Ozempic killed Weight Watchers. When the world traded scales for syringes, the once mighty weight loss institution couldn't keep up. But was its downfall inevitable? I'm not going to read anymore. But what I will tell you is, yeah, that's right, folks. It's over. Weight Watchers is filing bankruptcy, and they blaming it on your favorite injection. They blaming it on Ozempic. You know. Let's keep it moving. This is from Routers. It says here, U.S. FDA suspends milk quality tests amid workforce cuts. The Food and Drug Administration is suspending a quality control program for testing of fluid milk and other dairy products due to reduced capacity in its Food Safety and Nutrition Division, according to an internal email seen by Routers. The suspension is another disruption to the nation's food safety programs after the termination, and departure of 20,000 employees of the Department of Health and Human Services, which includes the FDA, as part of President Donald Trump's effort to shrink the federal workforce. Let's keep it moving. I ain't going to talk about it. It's a quickie. I got to go. You can look it up. You can put your thoughts in the comments. I'm just here to spread the information and keep it going. Let's keep it pushing. This is from AP News. It says here, Harvard sues Trump administration to stop the freeze of more than $2 billion in grants. Harvard University announced Monday that it has filed suit, filed a suit to halt a federal freeze on more than $2.2 billion in grants after the institution said it would defy the Trump administration's demands to limit activism on campus. In an April 11th letter to Harvard, the Trump administration had called for broad government and leadership reforms at the university and changes to its admissions policies. It also demanded the university audit views of diversity on campus to stop recognizing some student clubs. The administration has The administration has argued universities allow I can't say the rest of that word. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. To go unchecked at campus protests last year against Israel's war in Gaza. Listen, y'all can keep reading it. It's beef. It's beef, y'all. Beef. Not pork. Beef. It's beef. They are suing the Trump administration, and they trying to do some things. They are trying to fight for your right to protest. No, not a hit. That's fine. What else is not a hit is congestion pricing. There's beef, man. So according to the New York Post, Hochul defies federal deadline to end New York City's congestion toll. Quote, the cameras are staying on. And even more recent than that, it says here by ABC, which they say here they got it from AP News. It says feds give New York another month to stop congestion toll after state ignored latest deadline. The Trump administration has given New York another month to cease its congestion toll after the state ignored a Sunday deadline to shut down the $9 fee for most drivers coming into the busiest part of Manhattan. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, in a Monday letter to New York Governor Kathy Hochul, said the state risks losing federal funding and approvals for certain projects from the Federal Highway Administration. The missive, dun dun. It says here, quote, the federal government sends billions to New York, but we won't foot the bill if Governor Hochul continues to implement an illegal toll to backfill the budget of New York's failing transit system, Duffy said in a statement after issuing the letter. Quote, we are giving New York one last chance to turn back or prove their actions are not illegal. It's beef, man. Beef. We got one more. You know, I don't really talk about health and food up here too much, but some stuff is too crazy. I got to talk about it. This is a quickie. I urge you to go do your research. It says here, this is from The Guardian. Toothpaste widely contaminated with lead and other metals, U.S. research finds. Toothpaste can be widely contaminated with lead and other dangerous heavy metals, according to a new research. Not a new research, new research. Most of 51 brands of toothpaste tested for lead contain the dangerous heavy metal, including those for children or those marketed as green. The testing conducted by Lead Safe Mama also found concerning levels of highly toxic arsenic, mercury, and cadmium in many brands. It says about 90% of toothpaste contained lead, 65% contained arsenic, just under half contained mercury, and 1/3 had cadmium. Many brands contain a number of toxins. I'm urging y'all to do your research. You could read that article. It's available on The Guardian. They don't make you create an account to read it, and I appreciate that. Shout out to The Guardian for that. Everybody wants y'all to pay to read the news. Fuck that. So yeah, there you go. That is the end of our quickie segment. And I got one last thing for y'all. That's right. Our main topic. This one really grinded my gears. So we're going to talk about it. This is Marvin Sapp, who we'll get back to in just a minute, who that might be. But let's just hear what happened. This is old, but I ain't done a pod in a minute. And so that's why it's our main story. Here we go, folks.
And they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said, close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
Let me just pause it for a second to explain for those who may not have heard. He is a gospel singer and a bishop. He is telling the people who work at the church, the ushers, to close and lock the doors so no one can leave. I just want y'all to understand before I press play. That's what he means when he says close the doors. He is demanding He is demanding that they lock the doors and trap everyone inside of the church. Let me press play.
To plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically, or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm going to have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving. Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints. And they understand the cost.
Okay. So he said he needs $40,000. That's what he said, which really was more, because then he said the people who are up on the stage with him, they need to give more money. They need to give $100 each. He said it cost to be up on that stage. I would like to just show y'all something real quick. You may not have heard of Marvin Sapp. But according to Spotify, he has 727.5 thousand monthly listeners. That is 727.5K monthly listeners on Spotify alone. Okay? And his most popular song, you might have heard it before, is called Never Would Have Made It. And let me tell you something that everybody already said who covered this topic. I never would have paid it. But that's not the real issue here. The real issue I have, me, JD, personally, is that and this is why it's a main topic, right? When you're in charge of a church, when you own the church, matter of fact, let me just read it because I know it already. But I want to just make sure that people understand what I'm saying. It says here, churches in the U.S. generally enjoy tax exemptions due to their classification as 501c3 organizations under the Internal Revenue Code, primarily exempting them from federal income taxes. They don't pay federal income tax. Okay? It says churches are exempt from paying federal income tax on donations, gifts, and income related to their religious mission. One more time. Churches are exempt from paying federal income tax on donations, gifts, and income related to their religious mission. What y'all think the collection plate is? Where I think it goes? No, let me keep going. State and local property taxes. Most states offer property tax exemptions for properties owned and used exclusively for religious purposes. They don't pay taxes on the church property. And of course, sales tax. Many states exempt churches from paying sales tax on purchases made for religious activities. Income, it says unrelated business income tax, UBIT. Income tax from activities unrelated to a church's religious purpose, such as for-profit business, may be taxed. Okay. So if the church starts selling, something that don't got nothing to do with their religious purpose, they got to pay tax. If they sell merch, They may have to pay tax. It says here sales tax, commercial activities. Churches maybe need to collect and remit sales tax on commercial activities like selling merchandise. Okay, all right, okay. It says note, federal tax exemptions are automatic for qualifying churches. State and local exemptions differ. Churches should seek professional legal tax advice and check local regulations. Now, I know somebody in the comments, I know someone in the comments is going to say something like, hey, man, he needs that 40K to pay his staff. You mean the people he's telling to lock the doors? Okay, cool. He said he need 40K today. Today. It's outrageous. It's outrageous what religious institutions do to you. I'm not religious. Fuck religious. That's not my style. Okay? If y'all want to debate in the comments with me, let's do it. But be ready to quote facts and figures, not religious scribes, books, etc. I don't care what your religion says. Let's talk about the origin of religion if you want to have a debate with me in the comments. And we could do it a live video chat, whatever y'all want to do, we could do it. I don't fuck with religion. But that is not why it's the main topic. It's the main topic because religion does many things to manipulate you, the consumer of this thing. You may not view yourself as a consumer, but you are a consumer. And you might be saying, but Jay, I don't pay. You need to pay $20. All 1,000 of you. I would just like to say, if your church can hold 1,000 people, you probably don't need them to all pay $20. And you also included the people online. He said, if there's 1,000 of you online, y'all need to also pay $20. And so that would be 2,000 people in his congregation. 2,000 people do not need to pay that much money. You also don't know the income status of everybody in your church. Maybe I only got $5. Maybe that's all I got. I can't give you 20 if all I got is 5. And the religion he practices, yeah, it does say give your 10% tithes and offerings. It does. I read that book. But it also says come as you are and you won't be judged. The church is not supposed to demand money from you. You are supposed to take your tithes according to the Bible. You're supposed to take that money and pay it forward. You're supposed to take that money and say thank you to the church. And this is for the service the church is providing. And that's fine. But you cannot demand for people to pay a specific number. I cannot stomach this. It makes me sick. It has been pissing me off for weeks. I know people are making jokes and singing, never would have paid it. That's lovely. But I think it's bigger than that. I think it's about the audacity and disrespect that religious institutions just so easily use. They just big, bold, audacious statements that come out of the church. There are these big, bold, audacious demands. What to do with your money, what to do with your life, what to do with your wife. Fine. I don't accept this. And I don't think you should either. Furthermore, locking the doors would be kidnapping 1,000 people, no? There's 1,000 people in that building, he said. Or maybe not. Let's just say. Oh, but it got to be because he said, I want to see the 1,000 people walking up here. Is that not a crime? Is that not illegal? Isn't it just a shitty thing to do? I don't understand. It's got money coming from other places. That's why I pulled up his Spotify numbers. Not saying it's millions of dollars, but also who said the church or the person in charge of it are supposed to be a millionaire, are supposed to live a lavish lifestyle? Is their purpose not to educate and lead the sheep, the flock, the people in their church? I don't understand this. I don't respect this. I think it's a crock of shit. I think it's extremely unacceptable. And truly, I think there should be legal things happening to this person. I ain't saying he should go to jail, but a fine or something, because this is not okay. You are telling people they can't leave. You are telling people to lock the doors. You are telling people they must pay to leave. What institution can do that legally? I guess the church, right? Yeah, think about that next Sunday. Yeah, let me know in the comments if the Bible says this is okay to do. And let's be clear before I go. It's not only his church that does shit like this. It's not only his religion that does shit like this. Okay? This shit is stuff that gets done all the time. They dictate your lives. They dictate your pockets. It's not how it's supposed to go. Stop allowing thieves and manipulators to run your life. This is the Sexual Intellectual Podcast. I'm JD. I see y'all soon.